We asked Henry Paul why he left the Outlaws the first time in 1977. He's back now. He's actually leading the band. And after the Outlaws, the Henry Paul band, he formed a trio called Black Hawk, which was an extremely successful 90s country band. We chat about all that and more with Henry Paul on Rock History Music.
Why'd you leave the Outlaws the first time?
I was voted off the island. Huey and Billy wanted to, I think they had read the reviews and decided the band was about them, and they didn't need me as a band leader and as a frontman for the group because it was not about me, that they had outgrown me, I think was the theme. And it was a surprise to me at the time. It was a very, very hurtful thing, something that'll stay with me for the rest of my life. But the way that I handled it, I think, was ultimately the test of character, which was to go out and put a new group together and get another major label deal and go back on the road and do what I wanted to do and kind of dare them to put me on the bill because we would,
Success is the best revenge, man.
Well, I mean, it was the Outlaws, to be quite candid, were in a certain sort of way after Hurry Sundown, they sort of, after I left the band, they kind of floundered. They did have ghostwriters, but I mean, the band had lost its musical identity. Those first 2 or 3 records were very focused and very cohesive, and then it just got to be something different. I rejoined the band some years later in 1983, and Huey and I put a new group together and went on the road in the 80s. We cut Soldiers of Fortune in 1985. But I mean, Southern rock had fallen from grace from the standpoint of popularity. There was no way you were going to renovate the genre. For some reason, in the late 90s, it kind of came back and became popular. Maybe it was the advent of Leonard Skinner getting back together and the Allman Brothers. But suddenly the Outlaws were back in style again. And the fans that loved us in the 70s and early 80s, came out of the woodwork to support us. So I'm thankful for that.
But if I remember correctly, Billy was asked to leave the island as well, wasn't he? Because of his lifestyle.
Yeah.
Later.
I think it was a different reason. And I wasn't there, but I know enough about everyone to know that the drinking thing, was definitely a booby trap, and it caught up to a lot of us, and I think it became so immensely problematic for Billy that he could no longer live with it. I think it was a catalyst in his demise.
Speaking of really great songs, I defy anyone to be in a room and hear Goodbye Says It All and not stop what they're doing and turn around. 25 million listens on Spotify. That's just one of those, I remember where I was when I first heard it songs. I mean,
unreal.
Drop the mic, baby.
There isn't a wasted word in the freaking song, and everything is so smart. You said something earlier. Black Hawk was one of those country bands for people that didn't like country music, because it really wasn't country music. It was more like the Eagles than it was Alabama. I mean, Alabama enjoyed incredible success, but they wrote things and sang about things that we didn't mean anything to us. It did to them, but not to us.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, Goodbye Says It All is a brilliant song. And the record we cut on it was slinky, in the pocket, just undeniable. Launched our career and went on to, sell almost we're approaching our triple platinum status on that first album. And I mean, to come from a band like the Outlaws that had gold records to getting platinum albums late in your life, you know, it was like a gift that you couldn't believe showed up in the mail. It was, and you worked hard for it. If you were me, you worked very hard for that opportunity, but you could, in your wildest dreams, would never have expected it to do what it did. And I remember hearing this song on the radio for the first time, and I was just beside myself with joy.
Shorts, and then we'll be releasing the entire interview. It was a long hour-and-a-half chat with Henry Paul, who was, of course, as you know, a big part of the Outlaws in their early incarnation. Then he left in the 70s, formed the Henry Paul Band, which was successful. And then the country trio Black Hawk, which still tours today. If you want information on Henry, there are links in the description. But man, in this series, does he tell good stories about knowing the Eagles, hanging out with Leonard Skinner, most notably Ronnie Van Zant, their lead singer, working with Clive Davis. There's so much in this series. If you're a Patreon member, you'll get early access to everything on here. It's pretty juicy stuff. And he's writing a book as well. Remember to pick up a Rock History Music t-shirt and hats. You can get your own Rock History Music baseball cap now. Join our Patreon, as I said, get early access to everything. Links in the description, our TikTok. Check out the Facebook group for Rock History Music. Stay in contact with us. We'd love that. All the information's in the description. I'm John Beaudin. More from Henry Paul in the next 2-3 days. This is Rock History Music.